Hi, I'm Carolyn, and I'm here with my dad, Dave, and today we're going to show you how to make classic beef jerky. So to start us off, let's talk about what kind of beef we're using. What kind of cut do you go for?
This happens to be a top round. I usually use top round, bottom round, or a sirloin. Sirloin chunk is always called a knuckle.
Why do you choose that?
Whatever is the cheapest at the time. You don't want to spend a lot of money on jerky. I normally don't spend any more than $1.99 a pound. And I have spent a little bit more here and then when you really want jerky, but normally, just keep it as cheap as you can keep it. And you want real lean meat, not anything that's marbled, because when you dry it out, you've got that fat that also, is still there, and you don't want that. So you want a real lean cut of meat.
Good. All right. So we're going to start by making a brine. So what do you want to start with?
You pour the water in.
Water.
And you can get another half container of that. That'll be a total of.
Yep.
A total of 10 cups.
We just start pouring in liquids?
Yeah, then we can do the.
Right.
I get a rye whiskey. You can use whatever you want, bourbon whiskey, or whatever you got. So.
Can of beer. I'll handle this one. Comes too naturally to me. What else? Ginger ale?
Can of ginger ale.
This is all very exact measuring here. Very exact.
The recipe changes every time. It depends on what you got to work with. It's whatever you got in the house, I guess. This is maple syrup that I make every year, locally, just on my own property. Get it all out.
Kosher salt.
Frank's hot sauce.
I'm assisting. Liquid smoke. Scalpel.
Oh, could open that up.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, you did it. You're cool.
I'm pretty tough.
Talented, huh? Red pepper flakes. This is what I call this particular recipe. I call it my sweet hot. You got the maple syrup, and we'd be putting brown sugar in a little bit, and black pepper. Really, if that sticks to it, you really get a wicked bite to it. Which the sweet hot, I like that.
Brown sugar.
I'm gonna keep stirring. I'm gonna get some gloves.
Just making sure all the lumps of brown sugar are broken up. Yeah.
Right. Just so it's. And when I add I guess go easy. When I add the meat, I keep rolling that in case there's any sediment of sugar or whatever, salt in the bottom, then it mixes with the meat better.
Is that good for now?
Yep.
All right. And here's our beef.
You can hold that package. This is already pre-sliced. I can't really show you. It's just sliced thin. It's probably, right now, it's maybe 3/16 thick. It varies a little bit because I'm doing it by hand. But just separate all the pieces. And the other thing, when I utilize all the meat, it doesn't matter what size the pieces are. I use it. And then when I'm done with it, after it's all dehydrated, I separate it into packages of all different sizes. And I prefer the tiny ones better. I think they absorb the brine better. So I do it in small, medium, large.
They're also easier to eat.
Yeah, they're bite size. Yeah.
That's why I like them better.
Just about done with putting this into the brine, and we're going to leave it in the brine refrigerated 36 to 48 hours. It's been 36 to 48 hours, and now we're going to take it out of the brine, and all we're going to do is lay it out on the rack. You can put them really tight together because dehydrating, of course the meat's going to shrink like crazy. You lose probably 70% of the weight of the meat because it's getting, it's all water. It's moisture in the meat, and you're just removing it. By dehydrating, you're removing that. There's a lot of different ways. There's a few different ways to do it. If you don't, I have a 180 liter dehydrator here, I could probably do 40 pounds of meat at a time if I used all my racks. But there's other ways to do it. You can buy little house versions of dehydrators at your department stores or whatever. What I did, I never bought one of those. I went from, I jumped right into this after the other way I used to do it was in my conventional oven range in the house. You take out all the racks except the top and put it as high as you can in, and you hang each individual piece by sticking a toothpick through it and hang it through the rack. And just as far as temperature, you want it at 150 to 155 degrees. Just make sure with an electric range, you can put it just above the warm setting. That's usually about what the temperature is. And I normally did that overnight, so we had use of the oven the next day to get, for regular cooking. That's
all right, so that's as full as you want it?
Yeah, that's good enough.
So this is going to go into this kind of dehydrator, which is more of
it's a commercial grade, yeah.
Dehydrator for about, what, 8 or 9 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, it's been 8 to 9 hours in the dehydrator, and as you can see, it's pretty dry, and it's ready to be eaten. You can store it 2 different ways, or 3 different ways. You can just put it in a regular baggie if you're going to consume it right off. When you do a big batch, I usually put it in cryovac, usually shrink wrap. But it doesn't usually last that long. I give it to friends and stuff. The batch doesn't last long. Even that 20 pounds, I give it away to a lot of friends, and people do favors for me. So, but so you can cryovac it, just have it in a regular bag, and you can also the third way to do that is if you are going to hang around with it, and either in cryovac or not, you can put it in the freezer. It'll last in the freezer, indefinitely. I sent a pack to a person that was in Iraq after I cryovac'd it, and it got lost, and it came back here like 6 months later, and it was delicious. I ate it. It was really good. So it does keep for a long, long time.
Want to have a piece?
Sure.